So, picture this. Richard Dean Anderson stunned Tinseltown in 2013 by ditching a whopping $30 million in projects. The guy was just 63, still a hot commodity, with studios practically begging him to return. But Anderson was hiding something heavy. Insiders whisper he's been carrying a grim secret about Hollywood for decades, something so scarring from his MacGyver days that he's never spilled it publicly. Whatever the industry bigwigs did to him back, then explains why he picked silence over fame. Richard Dean Anderson came into the world on a bone-chilling January day in 1950. His mom gave birth in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, but just 3 days later, they bundled up the newborn and crossed into the U.S., landing in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Richard grew up as the oldest of 4 brothers. His dad, Stuart, wasn't just a schoolteacher. He taught English and drama by day and jammed on jazz bass at night. His mom, Jocelyn, was a talented artist, crafting paintings and sculptures. From the start, Richard's world was alive with music, creativity, and stage lights. Their home buzzed with jazz riffs and the scent of paint, and as a young kid, he'd sit quietly in the back of high school theaters, watching his dad direct plays. One time, he saw actors using Twinkies as a stand-in for birthday cake during a rehearsal, and it stuck with him. He decided any gig that came with free Twinkies was worth chasing. Growing up in Roseville, a Minneapolis suburb, his life spun around 2 passions: ice hockey and daydreams. He was nuts about hockey, borderline obsessed. Folks called him a rink junkie, and he was damn good. Good enough for hockey legend Stan Mikita to nod at his skills. Richard had his sights set on going pro. But at 16, that dream crashed hard. First, a brutal collision on the ice snapped one arm. 3 weeks later, he broke the other. That second break was so bad it landed him in the hospital for 3 months, needing surgery with pins and plates. Doctors warned he might never move right again. He was being scouted by legit teams at the time, so losing it all wasn't just physical pain. It was like losing who he was. Hockey defined him, and now it was gone. He sank into depression. The hospital stay dragged on, and the silence of never skating again cut deeper than the pain in his bones. But in that stillness, something sparked. He started paying closer attention to his dad's school plays, joined drama clubs, and even performed with casts still on his arms. Acting became his lifeline when everything else slipped away, and in those small productions, a fire ignited that would burn for good. Richard's childhood wasn't a breeze. His family scraped by. His dad's teaching gig barely covered the essentials. Sometimes his jazz gigs helped, sometimes they didn't. Richard and his brothers pitched in, with Richard delivering newspapers. He learned early to stretch every penny, like when he tried biking from Minneapolis to Duluth at just 10 years old, a 100-mile trek. He didn't tell his parents the full plan, just hopped on his bike and went. He made it halfway, 50 miles, before his small frame gave out and he turned back. But it didn't feel like defeat. Even at 10, he had the guts to try what most grown-ups wouldn't. By 17, his thirst for adventure only grew. He set off on a cross-country bike ride, covering over 5,600 miles from Minnesota through Canada to Alaska, doing the final 33 days solo. No car, no crew, just him, a bike, and brutal mountains and weather. Earlier that year, he got caught in a terrifying snowstorm in Taos, New Mexico, with 105 miles per hour winds trapping him in a whiteout. He survived, and somehow, that only fueled his drive. He learned to scuba dive, ride motorcycles, and bought 4 bikes, including a Harley-Davidson. He'd leap off school roofs for kicks, crash dirt bikes, and get up laughing, and once needed stitches after smacking his head diving off a board. It didn't faze him. One freezing Minnesota winter, he decided to set a world record by living in an igloo he built himself. He lasted 3 days, nearly freezing to death, but to him, it was just another test. His teen years were packed with wild stunts and close calls. He wasn't scared of pain or failure, but standing still terrified him. In 1976, Richard Dean Anderson took a massive leap, leaving Ohio University for Los Angeles with no promise of success, just a dream and a ton of uncertainty. To survive, he took odd jobs, including a bizarre gig working with whales at a marine show to cover rent. It taught him to stay cool under pressure in front of big crowds. Before that, he'd honed his acting chops in New York's theater scene. Every odd job, every small stage, was building him up for something bigger. That same year, in spring 1976, his big break hit. He landed the role of Dr. Jeff Weber on General Hospital. He stayed for 5 years, appearing in 611 episodes, just as the show expanded from 30 to 45 minutes on July 26, 1976. Ratings soared, and by 1979, General Hospital was America's top daytime drama. Anderson rode that wave, acting alongside stars like Denise Alexander and Stuart Damon. By the time he left in 1981, he wasn't just another soap actor. Producers were taking notice. He kept the momentum going, popping up in The Facts of Life in 1981 as Brian Parker, then playing Andy McFay in Today's FBI and Carter Randall in The Love Boat in 1982. These weren't random gigs. He picked them strategically to show he could do more than soaps, proving his range with different crews and directors. But not everything clicked. From 1982 to 1984, he led 2 CBS shows. *Seven Brides for Seven Brothers*, as Adam McFadden for 22 episodes, and *Emerald Point N.A.S. as Lieutenant Simon Adams for another 22. Both tanked after 1 season. 2 swings, 2 misses, back-to-back flops that could have ended a rising actor's career. But Anderson didn't quit. He studied, learned, and watched what audiences connected with. Then, in 1985, the role that would define him came calling. When he auditioned for MacGyver in 1985, something odd happened. He showed up wearing his glasses, not bothering to take them off or play it cool. That raw, real moment won over the producers. They didn't want a cookie-cutter action star. They wanted authenticity, and Anderson nailed it. He had no stunt training, but talked them into letting him do 70% of his own stunts. His hatred of guns in real life matched MacGyver's, making it a perfect fit. The show took off. From 1985 to 1992, MacGyver aired 139 episodes, turning Anderson from soap star to TV icon. By 1990, he was pulling in $1 million per season, but the real cash came when he negotiated producer credits in later seasons, earning a cut from syndication. MacGyver was a cultural juggernaut. Parents loved its smarts and nonviolence. Kids thought it made science cool, and the word MacGyver became a verb for fixing things creatively. In 2006, 14 years after the show ended, he revived the character for a Super Bowl ad, proving its lasting impact. But fame had a cost. In 1987, while filming a running scene on uneven ground, Anderson stepped into a hidden hole. His disc didn't just slip, it exploded. Pain shot down his leg, and he couldn't walk right. But he kept filming for a year and a half, popping painkillers and refusing stunt doubles to hide his weakness. The damage was real. Doctors warned of permanent nerve issues. He finally had surgery, but the pain lingered for the rest of the show. One of MacGyver's most iconic moments, the paperclip bomb in the pilot, came from Anderson's childhood love of tinkering and building inventions. It wasn't scripted, it was straight from his memories. The pilot pulled a 10.9 rating, nearly 20 million viewers, and though the network wasn't thrilled at first, that scene became legendary. Writers started asking Anderson for ideas on MacGyver's inventions, and he didn't just act the role, he shaped it. By 1991, the show's grind broke him. He collapsed on set, passing out from stress, dehydration, and exhaustion. Doctors said his body was running at 20%. He begged the studio to let him go. They threatened to sue him for $18 million if he quit. Trapped, he kept filming despite his health crumbling. He later said MacGyver consumed his entire life, leaving nothing else. When Richard Dean Anderson signed on for Stargate SG-1 in 1997, he shocked MGM with an unheard-of demand, a 3-day workweek, keeping Fridays to Sundays free to be with his newborn daughter, Wiley. Producers thought it was nuts to rearrange a whole show's schedule for one actor, but Anderson's MacGyver clout meant he could pull millions of viewers, so they agreed. He earned $100,000 per episode while working part-time, appearing in 173 of 214 episodes over 10 seasons. That 3-day deal became Hollywood legend. Other actors tried it, but none pulled it off like him. By 2001, in Season 5, his pay doubled to $200,000 per episode, or $4.4 million a season, still on a 3-day schedule. Stargate SG-1 was sci-fi's golden child, drawing 2.5 million weekly viewers and over $100 million in international syndication. Fan conventions paid Anderson and co-star Amanda Tapping up to $50,000 for joint panels, and fans loved his unscripted, sarcastic O'Neill one-liners, many of which he improvised. Over 10 seasons, he banked over $30 million from the show alone, not counting residuals still trickling in today. But things weren't all smooth. In 2004, while filming Season 8, Anderson wrecked his knee during a simple running scene. His foot landed wrong, ligaments tore, and the pain was instant. Surgery and months of rehab followed, with doctors warning that more physical scenes could cost him his ability to walk. Instead of writing him off, producers promoted O'Neill to Brigadier General, keeping him desk-bound and slashing his action scenes by over half. Fans noticed he was less active but didn't know why until years later. He still walks with a slight limp, and treatment costs topped $200,000, mostly covered by insurance. It was a turning point. He never took another physically demanding role. That same year, he directed Double Jeopardy in Season 4, a standout episode where he infused his 15 years of amateur hockey experience into alien battle scenes, choreographing fights like NHL power plays. He obsessed over it, studying game tapes and sketching moves. The episode went $300,000 over budget with 47 takes for one fight scene, driving the stunt coordinator to quit. But when it aired, it drew 3.1 million viewers, becoming the season's highest-rated episode. Even at the show's peak, Anderson was unraveling. In 2001, the year he won a Saturn Award for Best Actor, he was secretly battling severe burnout. His 3-day workweek wasn't easy. Days started at 5 a.m. and ended at 7 p.m. with no breaks. He told co-star Michael Shanks it was wrecking his health. Sleepless without pills, he downed 8 to 10 coffees daily to stay awake. At his award speech, fans saw a cheerful star, but backstage, makeup hid the dark circles under his eyes. He was in therapy twice weekly and considered quitting after Season 7. The breaking point came when he fell asleep during a live interview. MGM stepped in, hiring him a personal assistant and cutting his publicity work in half. Only Amanda Tapping knew about the therapy then. Anderson wasn't afraid to take career risks, though. In 1992, he starred in the CBS thriller Through the Eyes of a Killer, aired December 15th, playing Ray Bolano, a contractor turned stalker after a brief affair. It was a dark, unsettling departure from his heroic MacGyver image, based on the short story The Master Builder and filmed in Vancouver for 94 minutes. It didn't break records, earning a 5.9 IMDb rating from a few hundred voters, but it showed Anderson's willingness to embrace a darker side. In 2006, he leaned into comedy with The Simpsons episode Kiss Kiss, Bang Bangalore, aired April 9th. Written by Dan Castellaneta, Homer's voice, who guest starred on Stargate SG-1, Anderson played himself, shocking MacGyver-obsessed Patty and Selma by saying he only did the show for the money. He escapes a kidnapping using a contact lens to burn through ropes, then hilariously gets hooked on escape stunts, asking them to keep kidnapping him. Fans loved his self-deprecating humor and unexpected comedic flair. Richard Dean Anderson was known as Hollywood's eternal bachelor, but in 1992, he briefly dated East German figure skater Katharina Witt, a four-time world champion and global superstar. Their romance, from March to April, lasted just 2 months but made headlines. The media frenzy overwhelmed Anderson, who admitted the attention was too much. People hoped he'd finally settle down, but it fizzled fast. In the 1980s, he had a steadier romance with actress Celia Ward from 1983 to 1986. They met on a show playing siblings, but off-screen, sparks flew. Living steps apart in West Hollywood, they were like a real couple, but his 15-hour MacGyver days turned them into a weekend couple. Anderson called it beautiful but admitted marriage scared him. From April 1991 to February 1993, he dated Terry Hatcher for nearly 2 years, but again, no long-term commitment. Both relationships ended amicably, but Hollywood knew Anderson didn't do marriage. Then came April Prose, a wardrobe stylist who changed everything. Introduced by a mutual friend in 1996, she thought he'd never commit, but after one date, she told her mom he was the one. They stayed together 7 years, and on August 2nd, 1998, their daughter, Wiley Quinn Anaros Anderson, was born. Anderson was 48, a first-time dad, and though he didn't marry April, they built a life together. When they split in 2003, there was no bad blood. His focus shifted entirely to Wiley. A brief 1995 romance with Lara Flynn Boyle, then 25 and a Twin Peaks star, nearly derailed him. The 21-year age gap fueled relentless tabloid coverage, crushing Anderson, who'd kept his life private. The relationship ended quickly, and he later said it showed him how toxic fame could be. In 1997, he moved to Vancouver for Stargate SG-1, seeking quiet and privacy. 8 months a year, he avoided Hollywood's glitz, hiking and playing hockey with friends. Wiley's birth in 1998 made that sanctuary vital. Her birth was terrifying. She didn't breathe or cry at first, and doctors rushed to save her. Anderson stood frozen, trying to stay strong, and wept when she was okay. He called it the most overwhelming moment of his life, reshaping everything around her. After splitting with April in 2003, he became a full-time single dad, embracing diapers and feedings. Even in his late 60s by 2017, he drove Wiley to school daily and picked her up, giving up acting for quiet days on his Malibu farm. He said waking at 3 a.m. to check on her was never a chore. See you in the next video.